All right, welcome to another episode of the Hyperformance podcast. I'm joined by Matt and Jacob, my co-hosts. So we obviously all just watched, what was the UFC 298? How King has fallen. Volkanovski lost his belt to Ilya Topuria. I don't know. I just wanted to take the time to come on and speak about it because it's one of the few times in my life I've been such a fan of an athlete and I felt so connected to it. And a huge part of it was just also from my hometown, but even any Australian I talk to, they all seem to feel the exact same degree of passion about Alexander Volkanovski just as an advocate. I'm saying, fuck, even like I said, outside of Australia, just was and is still a legend of a bloke. And like, that's something I want to address from the start as well. Like, we all have the same feeling. Like, is it over? Not just the title reign, but like, is Volk shot and stuff like that? But it's just one of those things where you have to sit and see, because the other side of it is it's like, it's 35. He's 35. It was insane that between 32, 33, 34, he was able to improve. And it seemed like he even got faster in those years, which was absolutely insane. Because that was one of the things tonight. Like, and again, it could just be a bias after seeing the fight, but I just felt like we started to see a bit of a decline in speed. And it could just be because Ilya was good, but I thought his boxing just didn't look as sharp as usual.
I think when you bank in a loss, especially as a fighter, if you get it when you're younger, I think it's a bit better. But I don't know, just because.
And that's what it is. That's what makes this whole situation so clutch. The most clutch aspect of it was that I think impacted the outcomes and ultimately how his career is perceived is what fights he took and the scheduling of it. I'm not, the shot he got hit with, it would have put a lot of guys down. And I'm not saying he would have made it through that shot if they just delayed the fight a little bit longer. But that's the thing. It does leave you those questions, but then it also puts him into the hard scenario of, okay, now you've had two quite hectic knockouts in really close succession, just off the mistake of, again, accepting the short notice Islam fight and then going really quickly into the Ilya fight. It'd probably be advisable to take a year off. But then again, because he's on such a clock in terms of trying to squeeze everything out of his late prime, it just constrains his options even more. So that's the thing. I think, like, don't let a couple of poor decisions that were made, like signing contracts more so than in the octagon. He never made that many bad decisions in the octagon. And it was such a fucking phenomenal career. Like, don't be sad because it's over. Be happy because it happened. I know it's such a fucking cliche, but I've been preparing for this moment, honestly. But I've doubted, and this is the thing, this is part of why I was so inspired by Volk. As much of a fan as I was, I doubted him at every turn. Sorry, not quite. Like, initially, on his initial run, like, he was so impressive. Volkanovski, I'll just tell the whole story from the start. Like, Harvey, had you heard of Volkanovski, like, before he got to the UFC, just around the local? Like, all the footy heads and stuff like that, we're always talking about this Volkanovski bloke who was like a shit hot local fighter. I always saw him on posters for local promotions.
I had not, but
that's crazy.
In all honesty, I think me, like a lot of other people, Volk was a little bit of a gateway into the whole thing.
Right. Okay. Well, fair enough. So I was always sort of aware of this Volk guy, but sort of, again, knew the story. Was a former player for the Warilla Gorillas and then went into MMA. A little bit of a late start, but just seemed like he had an incredible talent for it. But it was like, realistically, how far can he go getting into the sport?
When did he start?
And already big. I think he started his like early to mid 20s.
Holy shit, I have time.
That's why I'm pretty sure he wasn't into it at 23, and he definitely hadn't had a fight by then. He might have been about to go into it more seriously, but then goes on crazy runs in local organizations, starts out fighting at 170, works his way all the way down to 145, beating the best of the best Oceania talent outside of the UFC, eventually gets called up into the UFC, goes on an incredible initial run. Like, he didn't look like a rookie whatsoever in his initial UFC performances. He showed so much fucking promise at 155. Then he cut down, ended up making 145 his division. Actually, I think that was his intention from the start, but how he got his in the UFC, I think, was a bit of a later replacement. He jumped up to lightweight just to get the UFC opportunity, but then he obviously got the contract because he impressed so much, was getting so many finishes from the start. It wasn't until Mendes, I had a little bit of doubt, but he had so much momentum. I was just like, yeah, hell yeah, this could be fucking amazing. And I wasn't that like emotionally invested yet. It was just a local fighter. Like, it's crazy even for like a guy from your hometown to make top 5 in the fucking UFC, especially when you're as big a fan of the sport as I am. had that crazy war with Chad Mendes. And that was the first time we saw the full champion package that we needed to see, because it's a bit of a cliche in MMA. Everyone was talking about it with Izzy as well. People talked about it with John Jones on the come up. Like, you want to see him overcome some adversity. And Volk had basically no adversity in the UFC up until the Chad Mendes fight, other than his debut in the UFC where he got taken down once or twice in the opening round of his
Did
first
he lose
fight.
to Chad or no, he won?
No, he got dropped. It was a little bit of a war in the first round. I think he finished him late in the second. Yeah, it didn't even go to the third. But it was such an action-packed fight, like absolute slugfest on the feet. And the other thing that was so encouraging about it is like Volk was so fucking game. Like Chad Mendes loves throwing down, but like Volkanovski was like just visibly excited to be in the fight. And it was interesting though, because that was the worst his wrestling's ever looked. Obviously, Chad Mendes is renowned for being one of the better wrestlers in the division. So that makes a bit of sense. But I think Volkanovski's wrestling has also improved since then, even though it was a big part of his game in early UFC fights. Got taken down a couple of times, got dropped, got his back taken. Chad Mendes had a basically fully sunk rear naked. This is well before, and that's what I mean. All the signs were there before even Bold Volk in the Ortega fight, overcoming that crazy shit.
Wow, yeah,
Anyway,
I forgot about that.
and it was similar. You know how in the Mendes versus Connor fight for the interim belt, Mendes was just like pounding and kept taking him down. But then there was a moment where he got up and Chad Mendes looked a little bit gassed, and then Connor just dropped the hammer on him. That's exactly what Volk did to him. Like, he got up out of the rear naked, put a few shots on him, was just feeling energetic, and Mendes just started to wilt. It was such a sick performance. And then after that, it was the Aldo fight. And again, Aldo...
He fought Jose Aldo?
Yeah, that was his next fight. So it was the fight before Mendes was Darren Elkins, who I would say is like, at that time, was the gatekeeper of that division. Like, just fraud checked so many, even some fighters that actually ended up being decent prospects and panning out. A lot of them got fucked up by Darren the Damage Elkins. So he's just this like, what you picture as an early OG MMA fighter. Go like barbed wire tattoos. He's got the Damage tattooed across his chest. And like, when that's your name as a fighter, but like, that was the thing. He went in there and he'd fight like Homer Simpson. And so many prospects would just like unleash the craziest combos on him and wouldn't be able to finish him. Volkanovski finished him, just chewed through him like a fucking lawnmower. It was crazy to see. And then obviously the Mendes fight. And then into the Aldo fight, where we just saw so much. That was the emergence of like mythical fight IQ, Volkanovski, like the early signs of that. All the crazy. He just had Jose Aldo in absolute fits. And that's the thing, like Jose Aldo, he was the featherweight GOAT. Like, Volk's fucking beat every champ in the featherweight division, other than McGregor as well. And like,
imagine the
feed him at 145. And again, it would be an amazing fight to see. Going up against Holloway, Holloway had been the champ for so long. Like, he was the guy who really dethroned Aldo, because he actually fought him for more than 15 seconds. Not that Conor McGregor's win isn't legitimate, but it would have been great to see a rematch between them. Holloway beat him in the first one and then beat him in a rematch. And then how many times did Holloway defend the belt? But it was just at the point where we're like, okay, Max is the guy establishing his reign now. No one's getting the belt off him. No one had even come close to beating him. And I was just like, what are the odds? It's this little cunt from my hometown who's going to go in there, and he's already just exceeded expectations so much. Because this is the thing, I just have such a bias towards long, lanky fighters, and that's why I liked fighters like Max Holloway and that, because I've just always thought, like, if I was in the octagon, what sort of frame would I want to have? And I always like long and lanky for the weight class. You just want to be able to hit them where they can't hit you. That just seems like such a ridiculous advantage to me, even though you do get guys like DC going up at heavyweight and almost being like awkwardly short for the division. Like, that's the thing you can sort of lean into as well. Not nearly as reliable as a strategy as being a beanpole, but seeing, again, Volkanovski just go in and dismantle Max Holloway like that. It was just, my jaw was
Did he KO him
on the floor. No. So he just leg kicked the absolute shit out of him, and he punched. He didn't mark him up too much. Like, he just outpointed him. But it's like, again, a big part of, like, people will call it that phase of his career, he was point fighting, but so much of what underpinned his point fighting was that he could fucking discipline you if you put it on him. Like, he'd shown that he'd had the power, and like, there was a reason. Max Holloway runs over fucking everyone from the second round onwards, and he just couldn't get shit going against Volkanovski. And that was the thing about the leg kicks. Like, not only did it slow his movement down in general, but it just stopped his rhythm because he was just doing it so fucking regularly. It was just like, I don't know, you know, when a cat's just getting sprayed by the bottle, it just would have felt, it would have been a very frustrating fight for Max Holloway. General consensus is that he won 4 rounds to 1. You could arguably give all the rounds to Volk. Like, it's crazy. And then in the rematch, I was like, what the fucking odds he can get it done again? Like, having to beat the champ twice is just such a tall order, especially when it's someone like Max Holloway, who, like, I would like to say, like, oh, you've got to go back in your time machine and remember who Max Holloway was. But, like, look at the guy still. He was the one, it was like him and Volk were the 1A, 1B of the division for so long. And like to the point where Max Holloway was almost the biggest threat to the management of the division because he'd already fought Volk so many times and he also kept killing off prospects. So they just had to leapfrog so many guys to fucking Volk without even fighting Holloway. Anyway, I was like, how the fuck is he going to beat him twice? He gets dropped in the first 2 rounds. And that's the thing, like, Max Holloway isn't a good starter. He's not a good starter. And again, Volk just adjusts, and he doesn't give up. He wins the last 3 rounds consecutively. Like, look at that as a stat. Find out for me when someone in a title fight has been dropped in both the opening rounds and then gone on to win the last 3 rounds and end up winning the fight. He might have been one of the only guys to do that.
Wow. Did he get dropped like ground and pound?
He got dropped by a head kick and then he just took a knee, but it's a fucking head kick from Max Holloway. And Max Holloway did open like a bit more aggressively than he typically does. Like, he always opens with a bit of power, but yeah, through some crazy fucking shit. Was throwing a lot of like spinning shit and a lot of rangy shit in general. Again, because Max just realized, like, he's like, I finally actually need to change my game up. Like, what I've been doing isn't going to work against this guy. Credit to the fighter he was. Max Holloway made some amazing adjustments, but then Volk just adjusted again, and Holloway couldn't deal with it in the end of the rounds. Then finally, we had the Ortega fight, and this was the birth of bold Volk. This is when it all happens, because he wasn't, obviously, we all loved him, everyone from the Gong and everyone from Oz, most people from Oz, but it was a controversial decision. But he won the last 3 rounds. I don't care what anyone says. There's no way the first 2 rounds were 10-8s because they were so competitive, other than the fact that Volk just got dropped when he just lost his concentration for a split second, or zigged when he should have zagged. But he wasn't, people loved Max so much that everyone was dirty at Volkanovski because he got the nod over Max in a really close fight. Like, it could have gone either way. I'll openly admit that, but there's no way it's a robbery when it's that close of a fight. I personally give it to Volk. You can tell I'm biased.
What were the scorecards? Like 10-8, 10-8?
No. It would have been like whatever the one 47-48 is when it's like 3-2. But I think it was a split decision. Or maybe I think it might have been a unanimous decision. Oh, let me have a look. I've got it up here.
You got the biography up on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
it was a unanimous decision.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, it was a split, sorry, against the second one to Holloway. Anyway, that makes sense. Anyway, I thought he won it. Finally gets to fight someone not named Max Holloway is part of his reign. Gets matched up against Brian Ortega. I've always loved Brian Ortega. But that's, again, bald Volk. That's when the myth emerged. Like, people put him on such a pedestal after that performance. To be fair, he was absolutely punishing Ortega the whole fight. But then, again, comes out in, was it the second or the third? Gets dropped by that jab. Ortega just leaps on a choke. And, like, this was in, I looked it up, was it September 2021? This was deep in the second shutdown. And I just have distinct memories of running out of the room. I was in my little apartment in Bondi, my little 4x4 prison. And that was a big year for me as well. And I was working really hard, but also just emotionally being locked in my little cage, not being able to see my mates. Obviously, the gym shut down, affecting my business, and just try my best to just, like, you know, grow myself and put some shit together. Seeing Volk get out of that choke, it genuinely motivated. Like, people talk about shit like this and I've never related to it, but something about seeing him not give up. There were moments where I was about to shut the laptop later that week and I just kept going.
No, what would Volk do?
Got out of the choke. I'm like, yeah, this is the least, like, if this is your version of that, you can just keep going. Just keep punching out content, keep making your educational shit. It really affected me. Like, at this point, I was so emotionally bought in to his whole fucking campaign. Like I said, as soon as Brian Ortega sunk in that first guillotine choke, I was such a fan of Ortega's come up. Again, I saw all those hectic submissions. No one gets out of a choke from Ortega. Once it's actually in under the jaw, no one's ever getting out. I had to leave the room. I was like, I can't watch this. But then
Really?
30 seconds pass and I keep hearing it going. Like I didn't hear that the fight finished. I like literally poke my head out from the kitchen. I'm like, oh my God, it's still going. And then he almost finishes him to end the round. He's like just still diving into his guard without giving a fuck.
It's crazy how he's like on the podcast where he saw the lights going out. Like he felt like the room started getting darker and he still fucking got it. It's crazy.
It was just like, that's what like, and again, I know I've been talking for so long about this, but I just want to do it I just want to adequately remind everyone, think about the times that we had. And then after that, goes and feeds KZ, Korean Zombie. That was a little bit sad because I thought Korean Zombie's just beloved and he was a last minute replacement. Happy for KZ that he got one last shot at the title, but he just got absolutely fucking punished. No one needed to see that. Again, it didn't really do much for the legend of Volk. It was another fucking amazing fit. He just fucking tore him to pieces. Then the third fight against Holloway. That was almost a replica of fucking. It was almost as bad. It's not quite as bad. People hate me for comparing these two.
He lost
Gaethje
twice.
versus fucking Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
He beat him 3 times.
Why did he get the third
They never should have been a third. Just because of public pressure and because he kept killing off contenders. He was the 1B of the division. In a certain sense, I agree with it, and it had to happen. The mistake was giving him the rematch just off the first one because the first one wasn't a controversial decision. They should have made him fight a guy and then jump back into it. But again, they didn't know. They didn't know that they were dealing with the future goat of the fucking division. Anyway, third fight. It looked like a fucking sparring match for Volk. It looks like fucking Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson for Holloway.
Really?
It was insane. Like, shout out to Max's chin. He somehow didn't manage to get dropped or finished, but Volk just put so much fucking punishment on him. No one was asked. It just put the whole chapter to bed, and I was so happy for Volkanovski at that point. And then gets to step up, gets the shot at me. And that was the thing. I was so sad I was in New York for it. Obviously, I was having a great time in New York at the time, but the idea to me, and I'm a little bit sad that I missed it. I'm not sad, like the timing of the US trip, it's unfortunate that it collided with that because even leading into the Islam fight, I was like, when are we going to see a guy from our hometown fight in our country for a chance at establishing himself as one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time?
Yeah.
Not that he ended up winning.
What a
he
fight,
got so
though.
fucking
Oh
and he's
my
still,
God.
other than the guy who knocked him out early on his come up and much earlier in his career, before he was the Islam Makhachev we all know of today, who obviously was pretty formidable from the start, but still no one's pushed him like Volk did.
Yeah. Just like that whole fight of him doing the shuckers up while they're on the ground.
Oh,
legendary
the most iconic thing to me will be Brian Ortega trying to be a heavy cunt, coming out with like the Purge theme music and stuff and wearing the scary mask, and then Volk just running out to land down under like heaps happy and stuff, and then just puts the beating of a lifetime on Ortega. It's fucking bad. Even like I said, even in the press conferences with Ilya just taking the piss out of him, Ilya wanting to fight him. It was just again,
is it an end of an era? Here we go.
Don't cry because it's over. Just fucking appreciate what you saw. And I'm so glad I appreciated it in real time because so many people don't want to let you appreciate greatness when it's happening. Everyone wants to let it pass for 20 fucking years, see a whole new generation of talent come in just so they can sort of use it to shit on them. Like they only let people like give people credit just to shit on the current crop when the current crop are actually doing something fucking phenomenal. And that's the thing. Like same thing I said about Connor's run. Like say what you want about late career Connor. If he retired right after that Eddie Alvarez fight, people would just be like, what the fuck? And this is the other thing. This is why you can't be sad. You also have to think like at some point this was going to happen and he squeezed so much greatness in before this inevitable thing happened because and this viewing opinion in my head got cemented, especially after the press conference, after the second Islam Makhachev fight. Volkanovski was never going to retire when he got a little bit off his prime. Like I think there's a chance he fights on for quite a long time. I'm not sure if he'll ever have a chance to get the belt back. Just because I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff. I just think speed's the first thing to go, and the statistic just fucking suck when you're over 35. And I think it can happen overnight. I'm not saying that's what we saw here, but like, again, just to me, I'm like, is that sort of starting to happen? I still think he could produce some amazing fights for us. And like I said, there could still be so much more legend to come, but even just be so appreciative for what you saw, and don't be sad about it, because what if someone was going to explain this situation to you, there's like, yeah, there's just going to be a guy from your hometown or from your country who's going to get into the UFC, like he's going to go on this crazy run. What do you think's the craziest thing he could accomplish? But be realistic. Everything Volkanovski did was 10 times more amazing than
Yeah.
that.
I mean, yeah, not many people can say that, to be honest. Yeah. From your hometown. Like, is it the same suburb as you?
Nah, so it's on the borders of Wollongong, the outskirts. It's in Windang. You know, have you ever seen that? Oh, you wouldn't have seen it in Melbourne. Even people at the pub talking about the Computer Town Australia ad.
No, I've never heard of that.
I wish they still had their own sponsors in the UFC, because fucking Volkanovski would have had Computer Town Australia straight over his ass.
I actually, I could have a bit of a you moment here, or you both, with the Wollongong fighter. I have someone actually from my suburb in the UFC. Like,
Jake Matthews.
yeah, from my
Yeah,
suburb.
called it. Yeah.
Yeah, like down the road.
He's been a bit frustrating to watch lately. He's been in the UFC for ages.
Has he?
He got in it when he was like 18. He was quite a prospect, and he's had a very good career. He got memed though because people were talking about fighter pay. Just be like, oh, fighter pay is pretty shit. Dana should pay the fighters more.
And he said he was
Jake
happy.
Matthews simped, took a photo of his house and his 2 cars out the front. So it was a nice house. Like, I know Jacob lives in a nice suburb, but they were just like 2 kind of like mid-range cars. Like, they weren't sports cars or anything like that. It's like, dude, you want to, like, at that point, he was a ranked fighter in like the top organization for his sport in the world. It's just like, you should probably be in a fucking mansion, dude. Like, the amount of money they've made off you. Anyway, it was just a funny moment for Jake. But yeah, he's had a good career. I don't know.
Not Volk status. Let's be real.
Could be rough. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to bring you as much joy as I can watch him vlog.
Yeah.
And that, look, that's the thing. Like, since before Whitaker, but like especially since Whitaker had his run and got the belt, like Oceania's just been thriving. Like, we already have prospects. You know what I mean? Like, there's Jack Magdalena. What's his name? Fucking am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Magdalena. Yeah, and a couple of other guys.
How did another Aussie fought today? What's his name?
Whitaker.
No. Oh yeah, true. Whitaker.
Tafa.
Yeah, Tafa.
Samoan.
Did he win?
Samoan Australian. I thought he lived in New Zealand. They're Australian. Anyway, whatever. I don't know. I wasn't sure if they represented Samoa.
I think he trains in Sydney at Ethos.
Right. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know Mia trained the Tafa brothers. That's sick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So that was Justin Tafa. I always get their names confused, but the younger Tafa stepped in for the old one. I actually heard that
what the fuck?
Younger one injured him in training, and that's why he stepped up. He was like, he might have stepped up anyway, because I think it's good for the whole Tafa brothers brand. It's just like, I'll step in, bruh.
Tag team.
Apparently he can check leg kicks. Apparently there's footage of him fighting in kickboxing organizations, checking leg kicks beautifully, throwing a lot of kicks of his own. Because just when I saw it tonight, I was like, oh, he doesn't know how to check leg kicks. Apparently he does. I think, and again, how do you forget checking leg kicks just because you didn't? Surely it was true. I don't. Anyway, it seems like an interesting performance. Did
he win?
No, he got leg kick finished. Oh, it had led to a ground and pound finish, but he got leg kick to absolute shit. He never really got a chance to look good, because within the guy landed 2 really good calf kicks on him in the first 30 seconds, and his leg was shot from that moment.
Fuck, it's all it takes.
Yeah, he never really got a chance to establish any of his game out there. Whitaker had a good fight against Costa. Costa looked a lot better than his fighting. He looked a bit average in his fight against Rockhold. I know Rockhold's a very good fighter. I just thought he might have been able to put him away, because it was the ghost of Luke Rockhold.
Did you see the post-fight press conference with Volk?
No. I don't know if I can.
It's pretty good. He's in very good spirits, and he's basically just like, because one of the first things one of the interviewers asks him, they're like, does this feel different to the last one, type thing, and he's like, oh, it's completely different. He's like, I felt good in there. I felt great, full camp. He was like, and he was basically like, first round felt good, second round I kind of established Like I think he said he like kind of like got the distance and he like felt
He
like he
looked
knew what was
good.
going on.
He looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked good.
He was like, I was about to start. We were about to start doing more shit, and then he caught me. He's like, sometimes you get caught.
He's been hit by so many punches. Yeah, it's like it is crazy.
That's what he said. He was like the thing is he was like in this game it's like if you get hit as cleanly with one of them straight down the pipe as I did, you're pretty much going down. That's how it goes. And like, you know, game's game type thing. But he seems really positive, and he's like he was also like he's kind of cashing his chip a little bit. He's like
Apparently he renegotiated his contract before the second Islam fight.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah, he kind of said in the thing he was like, because they were the guy asked him if he still wanted to try and fight at 155 or if he was like, and he was like, let's focus on 145 for now. He was like, at this stage, I've very much been a company man, like the whole time, you know, like fought quick turnaround, like you know, pretty much done everything they've asked me to. So, and I've been the champ for long enough, so I think I deserve my title shot. So that's what we'll be doing, type thing. And it's kind of like, yeah, nice one.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I
As he
think we
should.
probably will see a rematch. And
Does he
again,
need a-
typically, I don't like it, but I just think Alex can cash in some company manships here
Big
because he did. Like, yeah.
Oh, he's been.
Does he need another fight before it though, or he can go straight into it?
I think Volk, the way Volk's talking,
I think
about
they
it,
do
he's
it
like,
straight away.
He's like,
Because
I want
you
the
don't
rematch.
guarantee someone a title shot and make them fight someone else because they might lose. Even
Yeah.
if it's a real warm up fight. It's that the combat sports are just so hectic.
And even Volk was saying he was like, you know, usually when someone wins the belt, they kind of don't fight straight away. They kind of like give them a little bit to celebrate almost like before the turnaround. So he was like, I don't think it'll be straight
Yeah,
away.
Tapuria's had a pretty busy schedule. So in a sense, but honestly, if I was Volk, I know I just went on that whole tirade about, he can't really afford to take a year off. I would take the best part of a year off, let Tapuria fight someone else, and then just have one last shot at it.
Who would he fight?
Yeah.
Who's next up?
Probably, I mean, there's Holloway.
Yeah, but then just scheduling, it fully depends on the timing because who knows how much of a war he's going to have against Gaethje.
Yeah.
I'm sure his ears perked up.
Well, the other-
he
the
would have been watching.
The other
Who else
thing-
is there?
The other
Evloev.
thing that they said was that because there's a Spanish card coming, they're going to Spain for the first time, I'm pretty sure. And Volk was saying that it would be huge to do the rematch in Spain, but they don't have dates or anything yet.
I mean, maybe the UFC likes the rematch in Spain because they're like, well, yeah, he's already beat him once, and like, because you want Ilya to win in Spain.
Yeah,
Obviously,
well,
I want Volk to win, but
yeah, well, that's the whole thing, and I think even that was kind of the angle Volk was coming from as well. He was like, I guess I'd still probably be a headliner, but as a challenger, so like that's cool. But yeah, but he seems to want it in Spain, so like yeah.
it'd be interesting. I know Ilya's really trying to like launch into superstardom, so I think it could be. I think there's a chance he tries his best to hold up. Sorry, not to hold up the division. That won't be his goal, but I think as a consequence of how he tries to manage his career post this fight, I have a feeling the division might get log jammed a little bit.
Wouldn't surprise me, yeah. And that even Volk even said that he was like, I don't expect every champion to be as active as me. Like I'm fully aware of it. So, which might have been a little bit of a encouraging passive aggressive jab. I don't know, but
it also gives him time to like think about an actual proper media campaign for Ilya to go, like promotional campaign. So yeah, maybe because Ilya, I don't know, he doesn't seem like he needs a break. He seems pretty energized at the moment, but then he has had a relatively busy schedule.
What are our thoughts on middleweight and what's the go there now? Because now Whitaker's in the mix. There's so many people in the mix now. It's so.
I mean,
You can make like 5 fights out of that division. And it'll be main event caliber.
You could, yeah, honestly, with the bulk of the wait, how many fighters did we just name? So Izzy, let's just include DDP in the mix. Strickland.
We're missing one person, are we?
Oh, Whitaker.
Who else?
Vittori. Yeah, Vittori always makes
Like,
exciting fights. Sometimes a bit of a decision maker. No,
Pereira.
He's not coming back to middleweight. Forget about it.
No, he's not.
Really?
No.
You don't think he looks?
I understand that people are talking.
He's
about those
so
things,
big.
but
You always say that he's big, Harvey. He's
big, but he's done it before.
Anyway, sorry. No, let's kill this conversation, and then we'll jump over to the 300 announcement. But honest top 5 at middleweight. All those names I just mentioned, and there's probably a few we're forgetting. You could just throw them into a hat and randomly pick him out, and they'd all be sick fights.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
What a
Brendan Allen has been trying to throw his name into the mix. Like, credit to him, he's been winning fights. I have no interest in seeing him against any of those guys just yet. But I guess that's sort of unfair. You have to give him opportunities to climb the ranks. But
and you know what happens?
A few people are pretty jazzed about him.
What happens if McGregor beats Chandler at middleweight?
Jeez. It's so stacked.
My throat's a bit shot. I was yelling at the TV all day, obviously.
Oh,
yeah.
So are we going to the 300 announcement?
Yes.
Also, I might cut this out, but like I did not know there was a 300 announcement.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to do a live reaction?
Sure, hit me.
Pereira versus Jamal Hill.
Oh.
Yeah. It's all right.
I think
Sorry, Jamal Hill.
I think up until the last minute, based on interviews that got put out with Eugene Behrman, Izzy's coach, that they were really gunning for either Pereira, Izzy, but I just don't think Izzy wanted to go up.
Wait, is that the main?
I just don't think the timing worked out for him, and then that's why they got Pereira, and then they were just trying to sandwich someone else in there.
Is that the main event? Pereira and Hill? Oh,
Probably.
How's yeah?
So it's a title fight, right?
It's a good card. It's still a sick card. It's just that cherry on top is all. It's a
shit cherry.
If they nailed the headliner, everyone would be like, hell yeah. It's just that it's like hectic card.
I take it over fucking Bilal and Leon Edwards. Oh, I take it over
not
that.
much better, but yeah. No, I agree. I
fucking Bilal. Why would you? Anyway, I don't know why I hate Bilal. Anyway,
no, don't. Everyone feels the same way. No one can just explain it logically, but
I don't understand.
I used to watch fight.
Like, I saw. Did anyone see that?
One thing I'll say about Bilal: seems like a great guy. It just genuinely seems like a great guy. Don't want to hear him talk. Don't want to see him fight. I'm so sorry.
Have you seen the video of Connor watching the TV and Bilal's presenting and he's just laughing at his head? No reason. He's just laughing. I didn't find that clip.
The innate human instinct to not be interested in seeing a Bilal Muhammad fight. Brutal. It is what it is, but it's inside all of us.
Is that confirmed or is it speculation?
No, straight from the tomato's mouth. And he was like, Alex Pereira fighting Jamal Hill. Even he couldn't like bring the energy to it. He was like, I think he had a long day. I think he was legit on the blower a lot of last night, yesterday, even early today. Really being like, really, Izzy? Really?
He needed Izzy on there. Fuck.
Or also just like being like, fuck, why is it Trump president so I can get Kamzat into the country?
That's so true.
Kamzat would have been good as the headline. Like, the people love seeing him fight, puts on very entertaining
he has
fights.
a fragrance brand?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. So there's Wolf and then there's Smash. There's
is that
fragrances.
the name?
Yeah, there's one's for horny stuff and one's for just like doing work.
Wait, is that?
It's pretty good marketing. Better than Secret Juice.
Is Pereira? That's a title fight, right?
Yeah. So Jamal Hill vacated the title when he snapped his Achilles just playing some hoop with his mates. Shortly after, like the couple of weeks after he won the light heavyweight belt. So that was the period when the light heavyweight division was just in complete
so
added to it. So then now obviously Pereira has the belt. And then, so this kind of does reestablish it. Like it kind of got back on track with that recent Pereira win. But this just gets it a little bit of momentum. So it's like, okay, here we go. Yeah, we're off now.
Here's a scenario. If he beats Jamal Hill, what is going to go on? He goes up to heavyweight? That division is...
Sorry. He probably should, just for a run. Just
because that division is so...
Yeah, because you play it out in your head and you're like, okay, so what's more hectic? He loses the belt at light heavyweight and then they're sick of rematches for one. But even if he did get it back, what does that really do for him? Compared to, I've already done so much hectic shit and there's no way he won't get paid at heavyweight. To have a couple of fights at heavyweight, see if you can work your way into a title fight.
Fuck.
I wonder, do you reckon he'd blow out or you reckon he'd keep it sexy at heavyweight?
No, he'd keep it sexy. I don't know.
Yeah, heaps of guys keep it sexy. What am I saying? There's just sort of like 70-30.
I
keep
feel
it
like he's
sexy
still
versus
cutting
just
for
let it
light
hang out.
heavyweight. Like, I feel like he's still.
Oh yeah, everyone. Pretty much every light heavyweight is cutting a fair amount. Light heavyweights.
So you're
are
saying that most of light heavyweights could be heavyweight if they wanted to?
a lot. That is just a lot of heavyweights are fat light heavyweights.
Yeah.
Because it's just less talent up there. Like if you're genuinely athletic and like struggling to get under 125 kilos or whatever the limit is, it's like you probably just end up being recruited for other sports that pay more, that aren't as hard. That's a part of. There's other factors and stuff like that. But and it's also it's just not many humans that big. And then just competitiveness for that sort of talent. You could say the same for light heavyweight though, because again, like being like 94 kilos and super athletic, like a ripped 94 kilos or 93 kilos, whatever the limit is.
Yeah.
Cutting hard for 93 kilos. You're a big bloke.
Yeah. It's
like dieting and then hard water cutting to the point where you're like, oh, might be dying soon. That's
big frame. Yeah.
Oh, when we saw it, Roy Pereira hop on he's on the scale like 110 pretty regularly. So good.
Yeah, fucking
also,
hell.
heaps funny if he's just doing it to fuel the myth, like just weighing in with rocks in his fucking pocket.
Yeah, probably. Where the fuck is he keeping this weight? I still don't get it. Where's the muscle mass?
It's just the front. How long did I talk about Volk for? Because I honestly could have gone another 10.
Yeah, I think that was a good 10, 15. I think you needed it. I think we all needed it. We needed a bit of venting.
No, just
not venting, just.
But also, I think this whole Volk thing is like, look, it depends what happens next, but I think this almost makes the Volk story even better if he comes back and wins it.
True, but I also don't want to. No, I hear you. I don't want to long for more. Like, there's a part of me, I'm open to it.
Are you closing the book?
I'm closing the book a little bit on this because I'm like, I don't need anything more from him. And I feel like that helps me experience more gratitude for what we had. I think it's hard for me to fully, and because that's the, I'm as much as I'm like, oh guys, we could be thankful for what we had. Understand this. I'm deeply emotional right now. And I need to lean into gratitude as a coping mechanism. So if I'm thinking too much about like, oh, what if you could come back on another sort of run? I think I'm going to have a really hard week.
No, sure. I even just mean as far as like,
you're just taking your losses, I guess.
Yeah, I even just mean as far as like, not legacy is the wrong word, but like the whole and this might sound weird, I just think there's something kind of dull about being unbeaten. Like,
oh hell yeah,
as a champion, and like I also kind of think it doesn't happen unless you kind of dodge it. Like,
you owe it to the fans. I don't like retiring on top. If they want to, I'm like, oh, I completely understand. Like what Khabib did, retiring undefeated. Now everyone's like, oh, imagine this. Imagine if this happened. Like it's
always what if. Yeah,
the myth builds so much, so you respect him for giving you the closure.
And Khabib, I think Khabib's legacy is helped so much by the fact that like Conor is who he is, because I think so much of like the champions, like even not like one-on-one sports, like if you look at team sports, so much of what makes the amazing teams amazing is the people that they were competing with and the people that sometimes got one over on them. And like I think Khabib's really lucky because Conor just never shuts up. Do you know what I mean? Like even though Khabib dominated,
their names are always attached or even just associated in people's brains.
He luckily has that because it's Conor and that happened. But like, you know, even if you look at like Manchester United always had Arsenal and then they always had Chelsea. Sometimes Arsenal won the league, sometimes Chelsea did. Like, you know, and like same you think about Floyd Mayweather, you're like, yeah, he's unbeaten, but like he dodged Pacquiao forever. And like, do you know what I mean? It's just a bit like...
And when guys are too dominant or teams are too dominant, people accuse their competition of not being there. Like it is...
Yeah.
Yeah. The closer 100%. Competition makes it so much sexier.
Yeah, totally. Like, so, like Batman needs the Joker, you know? Like...
That's why we love Pereira and Adesanya that much, in my opinion.
Exactly. And I
so
think
beautiful.
Had Izzy not had that, like... Izzy's entertaining anyway, but I think it makes the story... At least in the fans' eyes, I think it raises your brand so much more, you know?
One thing I'll say, I'm a sucker for a trilogy. And if Volk beats Tapuri again, it is going to a trilogy. Sorry, not again, but if they fight again, and Volk manages to win, then we're going trilogy. I love a trilogy.
And then he's going to fight Makachev, and he's going to have done 3 trilogies. 3 title fight trilogies.
Does he get that third fight against?
Nah, I like I said, it depends. You got to see more. You just got to. Even with Whitaker, there were so many questions tonight that got partially answered.
Yeah. I feel like Whitaker just scraped by.
He's
I don't
always got
know.
that look about some of his fights. I don't know. I thought he was barely dominant, other than getting wheel kicked. That really threw a spanner in the works. If you sort of forget about that wheel kick and him having the mark of the wheel kick on his face for the rest of the fight. Also, Robert Whitaker, switch on for the last 10 seconds of the round. I know I shouldn't be critiquing world-class fighters, but
and please, oh my God, every time he entered was the double jab. Just throw something bigger, please. Oh, he's just flicking him.
You got, man, when you look, honestly, and again, not being critical, can't fight for shit.
Yeah,
I think when you really step back and analyze a lot of guys' toolkits, a lot of them don't have that many entries. That's why some of the highest praise you can give a fighter. This is a topic on a couple of MMA podcasts this week. Actually, no, I was watching Demetrius Johnson's, some of his fight breakdowns, is like fighter IQ. Because like first thing is like, do you have like the fundamentals in all the skill sets? Like, can you like handle it a bit on the ground? Know how to like sweep someone, know a couple of submissions. Do you know a 1-2 on the feet? Do you know a leg kick? Do you know a body kick, like head kick? Just some fundamentals. Oh, sorry, I don't know if that's the fundamentals. Yeah, whatever. Next level up is like maybe being advanced in one of those or multiple of those. And then the next level up is being able to string all of those qualities together and put together a good game plan. The next thing that's levels above that is going out and getting fucking licked in the first round, going back, beaten up with your corner, and they're like, okay, let's change this, this, and this. This is what we saw. And you're like, you go out there and you change the game plan. It's like, so people you can say that about. Volkanovski. Sorry, I had one other.
Leon Edwards? I don't know.
No. He just head kicked. He got lucky with a head kick. He didn't have a change in game plan between the round. That was the problem his coach had with him. He's like, you're just going out and doing the same thing. It didn't work in the first round.
Oh, okay.
Floyd Mayweather is renowned for it. He had some challenging fights. I know he dominated a lot of his opponents. There's some fights where, and this is me watching YouTube breakdowns of it, and like I see what they're pointing out. Floyd goes through like 5 or 6 different game plans. Literally just like shit, just not working out. Him going out, not losing the round, but just sort of having dramas. The rounds being like very, very close. And then all of a sudden he'll find a strap and he just sticks to it. He's like, fucking gotcha.
Is that what it's about? I didn't know it was that.
To adjust. Wow. And so many guys can't, like Volkanovski in the Max Holloway fight, that many adjustments. Cejudo, he in the Moraes fight made fucking adjustments. Like got absolutely licked in the first 2 rounds, came out with those clinched knees, stopped hanging in the kicking distance, just got right up in his face. That was a hectic adjustment just because it took so much balls. It's like, all right, you're getting towed. So you're saying I need to be more aggressive and I won't get hit as much. And his coach nailed it. He was fucking right. Absolutely broke him and destroyed him. The meme one is, and it goes to show you how shit the heavyweight division is just from a technical perspective. People talk about Stipe Miocic having GOAT tier fight IQ because he made the adjustment of just spamming body shots against DC. Oh, like he literally had as a zombie guard. It's like the body was open the whole first fucking 6 rounds of you fighting the dude in the first fight, and then the whole first 4 rounds. I think he found it in the 3rd round. He was like, "Wait, hands up here, attack body,
attack."
And people are like, "He's a fucking genius."
Oh my God. Yeah,
you look at featherweights, like their punch distribution, it's like even to the body and the fucking head. Maybe it's slightly biased head. Any good sort of fighter. You go look at heavyweight division, it's just head. And look, and part of that is just like they can knock each other out easier, but
I don't like watching heavyweight fights.
Going to the body.
Know if that's a hot take.
Not exactly like genius fighter. But yeah, anyway, credit to Stipe is the Albert Einstein of heavyweight UFC fighters.
Yeah.
Fedor Emelianenko has probably got a few. I don't know if he adjusted or just overcame it with just sheer will and just an aura of greatness. Just like what he did against Kevin Randleman. I don't know if you can call that an adjustment. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Jacob, this is me. Can we do a live reaction and then we'll wrap this shit up? This would be a
Okay.
good way to end it. I think you might have seen it, but this is, like he says, it's not him making an adjustment. It's just him pulling a win out of his ass. Rip Kevin Randleman. Died a couple of years ago. Do I need to set the scene? So Fedor is like this legend. They never got him to the UFC, but he's just legendary Russian fighter. He just had a crazy reign at heavyweight. He is the pinnacle of just a chubby light heavyweight, but you can't really criticize him for not going down because he literally is. He's basically the heavyweight goat.
This is ancient.
Actually, yeah, I forget because like I'm already sobered up to the impression of Fedor because when people are like, this is one of the greatest fighters the world's ever seen, and you see Fedor's physique, you're like, that looks like my dad. Like flat ass, bit of a tummy. It's such a look. But the face, just the stone cold face, just never phased. And yeah, he deals with some shit in this fight.
30 seconds, sorry.
No, you're right. Oh my God. This is such a G. Dude, we have to do a Fedor deep dive one day. Because he just is like Russian. I don't want to call him Russian Homer Simpson, but looks like Russian Homer Simpson.
Okay, here we go. We got it up.
Phenomenal striking, ridiculous hand speed, crazy wrestling.
Eye to eye during the final instructions from the referee. That means he has nothing against him. That's correct.
And Kevin Randleman is like, made in a lab.
Man, Fedor looks way.
Yeah, can we get a bit of a what are we seeing here, Gus?
Okay, so this is back in, I don't know what year this is. This is a while ago, early MMA days. This is in Pride, a legendary organization in Japan. And yeah, just Pride never dies. It just, especially in terms of heavyweight, like because they were a competing organization with the early days of the UFC, and they had a lot of the premier talent in the heavier divisions, especially at heavyweight. They were legendary because the first round was 10 minutes, which I really liked.
What?
Yeah, and I think they scored the fight as a whole. I could be wrong on that. But just one 10-minute first round led to a lot more finishes. It was great in a lot of aspects. Because like guys, like it just takes first 10 minutes is good. Like you don't need a break after whatever. They've got their own individual ups and downs. Context, Kevin Randleman, legend, top of the heavyweight pile. Fedor, top of the heavyweight pile. I think in terms of where their legends were at, Fedor. Oh no, yeah, I think that this was, people were fucking G'd up. This was a massive fight, to my understanding at the time. They were already somewhat legends of the game, but this is also them at their peaks. Yeah, this is some fucking just caviar right here. What I'm serving up.
All right, I'm ready to eat. Let's cleanse my palate. Let's go.
It's like you're in Japan, you know?
Yeah. Everybody call me, what's his name?
Are they just flash up
Good bit.
rules?
If I could cuss right
What was that?
Just started flashing rules up.
Can Randleman take it around?
Oh, fuck! Holy shit!
Knees in the head as well. Their soccer kicks are allowed.
Oh my god! Not from there.
I am amazed. Kevin Randleman, see, that's why I said I want to beat on the black guy here.
Is that Rampage Jackson on
He's
Twitch?
upstaging me.
Could be.
Let that go, Randleman. Go to something else.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Oh my god!
To take that slam
and
and
now
now
in
in dominant position. Hold on, his legs.
And that's in the face.
He's opportunity here to grind in some knees if he establishes himself better north-south.
Oh, here we go.
There is.
What?
And Emelianenko.
How the fuck do you pull that out?
Look at the suplex here.
Look at this shit! Where's his neck?
How did he not die?
How do you not die?
I never did anything like that.
See what he does here. He's
I
gonna
bet
grab
he
the
just
reverse.
flips
How
him
is he
over.
not
He's like,
paralyzed from like the waist
Going
down?
on the knees, grab the wrist, and that's it.
yeah, it's crazy, man.
Was he Russian? Probably explains it all.
Yeah. He's just
that
from the fucking woods, man. Like, go watch some Fedor highlights. He is, yeah.
Okay. I don't know
Legendary.
what's
He
playing right
just
now.
retired last year.
That guy,
He was one of those guys. He really let everyone see. He fought 10 plus years past his prime.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
bit of a Tony Ferguson.
It was fine, like a roided up Chael Sonnen, a heavyweight Chael Sonnen, and it's chaos. Yeah.
That is brutal.
Anyway, I hope you have a good Monday. Just focus on work or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Get your mind off it. Go for a walk.
Anyway, we're all going through this together.
Smell the
We'll have another
roses.
episode for you in a couple of days. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to get a shirt, it's in the show notes. Get yourself a trial of the GPP, best S&C program on the planet. Join the community. I'll talk to you next week.